All right. Well, happy Sunday, folks. First and foremost, hope you had a good day. Hope you had a good weekend. How do you talk about a game like this? How do you talk about a game like this? Well, for starters, I'm gonna pull a fast one on everybody. I'm not starting with Immanuel Quickley. I'm not starting with Immanuel Quickley because there was once upon a time known as the last 20 years in this godforsaken existence rooting for this team, where Immanuel Quickley would have never gotten a chance to, do what he did in the second half and in this game, because this team would have just laid down and died. And they didn't lay down and die, and they made it a game. And yeah, I mean, sure, they've had rookies come in and score points before, a lot of points even, but they weren't meaningful points. They were points in blowouts. These were meaningful points in a game that the Knicks ended up losing by what was the final score? They lost by 3. I have said it a lot this year. I will say it again. And it is the most important thing. It is more important than anything Quickley's doing or Barrett is doing or Julius Randle's doing or anybody is doing. There is something different about them now under this coach, under this regime, with whatever the mix is that they got in this locker room. They were down by 25 points against a team that was hitting everything, against a team that was off for a week. And they had played their third game in 4 nights on a West Coast trip. Like, they had every reason to lay down and die. Every reason in the world to lay down and die. And they didn't. And they kept fighting. And the fact that, Julius Randle was the one who was making defensive plays to actually make this a game, the fact that that's the same guy as last year, okay. So, see, this is why I don't really go on Twitter, because I glanced before, and all anybody wanted to talk about was Tibbs' rotations, and why does he have this guy in, and why does he have that guy in, and why isn't Quickley starting, and why isn't Elfrid Payton on the bench, why is RJ Barrett on the game, and all of these things. And here's what I'm going to say. If you have a gripe about any of those things, or about anything else that I didn't mention, your gripe is incredibly valid. It is 100% valid. Any gripe is valid because we're fans. We're allowed to have gripes, right? Here's the thing, though. This team is 8-10, and I know they have lost 2 games in a row, but in what universe? Not this one. In what galaxy? What's bigger, a universe or a galaxy? I think the universe is bigger. The universe contains galaxies, right? In what universe were we ever going to be 8-10? And I don't care if Tom Thibodeau is going back into the locker room and doing voodoo after these games, or before these games, or fucking during these games. He has this team playing hard. He has this team playing smart. He has this team playing organized at both ends. Yes, I understand I'm talking about a team that gave up 70 points in the first half, and that is because if a team is going to go out and shoot the way that the Blazers shot in the first half, they're going to score 70 points. But a lot of those threes are well contested, and a lot of them were taken by the guy who, aside from Steph Curry, is probably the best three-point shooter in the league today and maybe one of the 5 best in the history of the league. So for as much as I could sit here and I could talk about all of the different things that I wish Tibbs did differently, like, did I think Austin Rivers was providing any help in the fourth quarter? No. Would I have liked to see RJ Barrett in the game? Absolutely. Even though I think his presence cramps up the spacing a little bit, I get it. I think the other subtler thing is I think Austin Rivers is a little bit more lithe on defense, and I think they were looking to get guys out there who could get skinny against screens and kind of counter what the Blazers are doing on offense. But that's neither here nor there. And we'll get to Peyton in a second because we need to talk about Elfrid Payton. But whatever Tibbs is doing, I'm not sure that any of us are in a position to question it that severely, because the thing is where it is right now, and they are playing like they are playing, and I think they are playing at a more respectable level than at almost any time in the last 2 decades. And if a coach is going to figure out a way to get that done, he deserves some modicum of deference to what he is doing. Someone just asked, why was Julius fouling when we had a guy trapped? I made a tweet before that, or I sent out a tweet. I made a tweet. I sound like my fucking dad. I sent out a tweet before that I thought the refs were horrible, and Julius's reaction to that foul call, I don't think he was trying to foul. I think they called a foul there that they shouldn't have called, and I thought they called a foul on the previous trap on Alec Burks that they shouldn't have called. I thought the refs were terrible in this game. Would the Knicks have lost anyway? Probably, but I didn't think the refs helped them out at all. So let's talk about some good stuff, all right? Because, like, again, I just maybe it's because I've been watching this team for too long and my expectations are so low and the bar has been set so close to the floor. But I'm having a lot of trouble mustering the strength to get on here and be like, oh, God damn it, this and that. It's like they just came and made a 25-point game, a 3-point game. So let's hold off on some of the bad stuff and let's talk about some of the good stuff. And what was that good stuff? Immanuel Quickley. Immanuel. Isn't there a song like with Immanuel in the title? Well, there should be if there isn't. I've said it a few times this year, and I don't know how else to put it. This is real. What's happening with Immanuel Quickley is absolutely real. When you get a guy as a rookie, you're not looking for the complete game. And Immanuel Quickley, I think the reason he's not starting, and this is the one thing, and I've been consistent with this all season, that if anybody wants to really get on Tibbs about, this is the one thing that I'll give you a pass, because I do think he should be starting. The reason he's not starting, though, is because you see moments from him where he plays like a rookie and he makes rookie mistakes, mostly on offense, organizing the offense. We saw a few in the first half. The last possession of the half for the Knicks, he didn't get the team organized. There was a bad turnover where he was trying to go in alley-oop route to Nerlens Noel. He had another moment where another moment or two where the offense was just disorganized. We are past the point of that mattering. He should be starting regardless of whatever mistakes he makes. And please, Tom, I love you, baby. I love you. I really do. I'll be the first person to be in front of Madison Square Garden getting ready to build that statue if we are in the running for the 10th seed at the end of this year. But please, Tom, do not tell me Elfrid Payton is starting these games because of his defense, because I have the same working eyes that you do. And it ain't the defense, buddy. If you want to tell me he gets you into your sets, if you want to tell me he doesn't make certain mistakes in organizing the offense, I'll believe any of that stuff. But what we have seen from Quickley, there's too much good. Yes, he still makes rookie mistakes. It doesn't matter. Because the skills that he is showing, the ability to draw fouls, the ability to just let loose from 24, 25, 26, 27 feet, and just ice water in his veins. Clyde said it on the broadcast. I mean, this kid has no conscience. He will absolutely put it up at any time, every time, but at the same time, he's not forcing it. And that's the key. Because if he was coming out there and he was forcing these shots and they were not the right basketball play, and I'm not saying there aren't passes to be made. You know, I've noticed a couple times on these floaters, he misses guys in the corner. There are other little things here and there. So he's not perfect. But you cannot teach the level of aggressiveness that he has. You cannot teach the amount of fouls that he draws. You obviously can't teach the range. You can't teach the shooting ability. And the kid got 31 points in his 15th NBA game? I mean, what else can you say? He is part of the core. He is the answer to a lot of their questions. And one way or another, he needs to average 25 to 30 minutes a night for the rest of the season, even if it's not in a starting job in the immediate future. So that's what I have to say about Immanuel Quickley. As someone with a comment, Alfred was sleepwalking out there. Look, Alfred did what he could against Damian Lillard. It didn't matter. No one was stopping Damian Lillard tonight. It didn't matter. Like, that's not a reason you start Alfred Payton. But I can't talk about Alfred Payton anymore, because what am I going to say? We're all saying the same shit. He's a limited player. He's trying his best. It's going to be either 2 for 6 or 3 for 9 or 4 for 12 on any given night. He's not a guy who should be starting NBA games. Tibbs knows that. The Knicks know that. Alfred Payton probably knows that. But I just think he's leery about throwing a rookie into the deep end. That's what I think this is about. I don't think this is about any hard-on for Alfred Payton. I think this is about the trepidation about starting a rookie at the most important position in the league. That's all. That said, I think he's going to start him at some point pretty soon. Let's talk about Julius Randle, because Julius Randle did, like, talk about a guy that of everybody who is on this team, I would have been like, yeah, that guy'd be cool, just kind of going into the locker room and like losing this game by 20-something points. Julius Randle didn't do that. He ended up with 25 points, got to the free throw line 11 times, only 7 for 18 from the field, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 turnovers. Not the best statistical game from Julius Randle, but I thought Julius Randle embodied everything that has been good about this team this year. He fought, consistently tried to make the right play, didn't always make the right play. The possession where they were down by 4 and the best shot that they could get off was a contested Randle 3, or maybe it was a long 2, I forget. I didn't even think that possession was really all of Randle's fault. That's another instance where Quickley was trying to get the offense into its whatever. It didn't happen. Ball went to Rivers. Rivers didn't do anything with it. I thought Rivers should have put it up from 3. He didn't. And then Randle was forced into a tough shot. That's the possession of everything that we saw that I would have liked to have back. Did Randle kind of force it on a couple of those possessions? Sure. Am I about to fault him for it after everything he's done for this team this year and after everything he did for this team tonight? No, absolutely not. I thought Randle played an outstanding game, and I have 0 to complain about where he's concerned. And then the only other guy I guess I'll mention on the good side is Alec Burks. Alec Burks ended up with 18 points, 5 of 8 from 3. He's absolutely a difference maker. He, putting aside the Quickley thing is like, again, do you start the rookie who's not really a point guard at point guard? Whatever, I get it. There is no more excuse to not start Alec Burks. Alec Burks should start every game that he's here. He offers more than Reggie Bullock does. He's hitting more shots than Reggie Bullock. He puts the ball on the floor better than Reggie Bullock. He's not the defender that Reggie Bullock is, but to be honest with you, I'm not sure that trade-off is worth it. So yeah, I'm all here for Alec Burks. All right, I'm going to get to some questions in a second, but I want to talk about some of the bad stuff, because for as much as I do feel like Tibbs has earned the right to basically get a free pass with the way he's started out, let's go one by one. So RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett was not in for the fourth quarter. There was one quick shot of RJ on the bench during a late timeout in which I don't want to say he looked disengaged, but he was kind of standing off to the side. I'm sure it did not sit well with him. It wouldn't sit well with me, especially after the last 6 games that he's had, and specifically over the last 6 games before tonight. And we should note that I think Barrett took 1 3-pointer. He took 2 3-pointers tonight. So over the last 6 games, even with going 0 for 2 tonight, he is around 40% from 3, maybe a little under 40%. So if the reasoning for him not being out there was Tibbs wanted to have more floor spacing, at least by recent returns, that wasn't a really valid reason. I think Tibbs did what he did to try to win the game, as opposed to let's get RJ these valuable minutes that could come and help with his development. Because I think Tibbs believes that the best development for this team is if this team wins games. Did he make the right move? Did he make the wrong move? RJ was not assertive for pretty much this entire outing until very late. Of the things that I could potentially kill Tibbs on, I'm not sure if that's the one. That said, the guy who was in there was Austin Rivers. Now, Austin Rivers is the reason that the Knicks won a game earlier this year, because Austin Rivers does have ice water running through his veins, and he doesn't really know the meaning of the fourth quarter as far as it affecting him and what he's able to do. So, again, my guess is Tibbs went with the guy who he thought was going to give him the best chance to win the game. It did not work. That's on Tibbs. Tibbs has to own that. But I do think in the grand scheme of decision-making, that's not the one that I'm about to go crazy about. The onions. Yes, the onions. We love your onions still, Austin Rivers, even though they are a bit more shriveled of late. All right, let me start to take some questions here. Macri, why is Tibbs okay with guys like Peyton making rookie mistakes, but then punishing rookies for making rookie mistakes? I don't necessarily. I think the mistakes that Peyton makes are, I don't know. I wouldn't call them rookie mistakes. I think with Peyton, you're just talking about a guy who's not very good. His is like going. What did he go from the field? I don't even know. I'm assuming it wasn't very good. Peyton was 3 for 8 from the field. Peyton went 3 for 8 from the field, not because he was making mistakes. It's because he's just not a very good shooter. I do think he makes the occasional turnover, but I think he makes the occasional turnover in an effort to like get the offense going in whatever set that they're trying to get into. Is it an excuse? No. Is it a reason he should be playing? No. But I do think there's a difference there. And this is where Tibbs the stickler kind of rears his ugly head, because he likes to know that the guys that are out there are able to reliably execute whatever the scheme is. And I think that's a nuanced point, and it may sound like bullshit, but that's the best answer I got. Again, is it a good enough reason to keep Quickley out of the starting lineup? I personally don't think so. Frank should get a chance at this point. I've seen some Frank chatter in the feed here. Sure. Do I think Frank should be starting? No. I think Quickley should be starting. And I'd like to see Frank get a chance. I'd like to see what he could do. If nothing else, he proved that he could hit a shot early this season. I just don't know, especially with the conditioning where it is, that anybody should have realistically expected to see Frank tonight. And I think, as you know, Frank has a little bit to prove. I mean, he's been out for whatever it's been, 16 games. So I'm sure Frank will get a shot at some point. I'm not sure that he's the answer to the Knicks point guard problems. So yeah. Okay. My producer, my wonderful producer, Andrew Claudio, sent me a bunch of texts with questions that he is wondering. What has to happen for Elfrid to sit? I don't know. Immanuel Quickley going off for 31 points. Maybe this does it. We'll find out soon enough. I'm sure he's got to be feeling the pressure, because the organization, I'm sure, wants Quickley in there. This is a good one. Should the Blazers trade for Elfrid Payton to create the ultimate Macri hate team with Cantor and Melo? I don't hate Carmelo Anthony. Come on, Andrew Claudio. Why are you trying to get the fine people of New York to think less of me by putting words in my mouth? How dare you, sir? How dare you? All that said, please, Portland, trade for Elfrid Payton. Does Knox get minutes with Bullock, Rivers, and Bullock, Rivers, and I think you meant Burks, healthy? Knox is in a slump, right? He's in a slump. He's allowed a slump. I think he was the Knicks' most consistent three-point shooter throughout most of the season, given that Burks was not healthy. I still believe in Knox's shot. I believe in Kevin Knox as a NBA player. No, it is not time to get worried about Kevin Knox. I want to see a few more games of this before I get worried about him. I just think he's in a little bit of a cold stretch. And I think he's still figuring out how to be an effective guy playing only 15 minutes a night. I don't see your comment, Andrew. I don't see it. Knox is not expendable. Knox is still a guy who has shown enough this season that I think the organization is warranted continuing to try to give him playing time and get him right. Whatever version of right is for Kevin Knox, I want to continue to see it. Should Rose cut Peyton to force Tibbs' hand? No, I don't think they should cut Peyton. I think they have a really, really, really nice locker room right now. And that may not mean a hill of beans in this crazy world. But no, I do think it means something. I think they have a nice unit, and I think Elfrid Payton is part of that. But he needs to face facts. He went 3 for 8, and he was not effective, and he's not getting the team to a point offensively where they're functional. So, it's time. Does Tibbs not see that the floor is so much better space with Quickley out there? I don't understand why Peyton is getting 30 minutes. Tibbs sees everything that we're seeing. I guarantee you Tibbs sees everything we're seeing. At the same time, there is a reliability factor there. And I think here's what I've said this, I think in the preseason. Here's what I don't think Tibbs wants to do. I don't think he wants to go to Quickley and have it blow up in his face and have it be 5 games where the kid looks overwhelmed and then he is between a rock and a hard place, because it's like, all right, well, now I either have to go back to Peyton and ruin the kid's confidence, send him back to the bench, or I just keep going with this for the team that, fancies itself in a playoff race. I think when he goes to Quickley, he wants that to be a permanent move. And it's easy for all of us to be like, we've seen enough. There's no doubt at this point. It's the easy decision. I think it's better when it's your ass on the line. Again, I know that's not a satisfying answer, but if you're asking me, like, what is Tibbs seeing or what is Tibbs thinking, that is my personal best explanation. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I think. Somebody asks, I know he's been great this season and he is an all-star, but Randall could go up another level if his handle was tighter. Yeah, I agree with that. It's good comment. I think Julius Randle's only 26 and he has more to go as a player, which is why I'm not about to trade him. Macri, do you think Elfrid starting is not the issue, but rather Elfrid playing? He would kill the bench too. I actually like the guy tries hard on defense. The guy has a good handle. The guy's able to get to the rim. He's dealing when he's out there usually with the same spacing concerns that he causes because he's out there with other guys who teams don't honor. I think there's a way that Peyton could continue to get 15 to 20 minutes a night with more spacing on the floor and be an effective player. Do I think it's worth it as opposed to giving somebody else a shot or giving Frank a shot or just maybe, getting more shooting out there with playing all of Rivers, Burks, and Bullock, keeping Noel in the rotation? That's a different question. I just, it's tough. The he's trying hard and he's executing the scheme. That means nothing to many of us, but I think that's why he's continuing to get time. Andrew asks, did the Knicks send you that hoodie because you're what? Because you're the sole human who likes that city uniform? That's an insulting question, and I'm not going to answer it. Do you think Mitch should be playing more than 25 minutes tonight? Did he get 25 minutes tonight? I thought, 25-38. I think for the season, I'm going to look it up right now. If I had to guess for the season, Mitchell Robinson's averaging about 27, 28 minutes a night. I think Mitch is playing the appropriate amount. He's playing 30 minutes a night. I think that is what Mitchell Robinson should be playing. I think Mitchell Robinson is a 30-minute a night guy. I think his conditioning still has a little bit further to go. I thought Noel played pretty well tonight. His hands are not good. The alley-oop that Quickley could not convert because of Nerlens Noel's decision to try to get it with one hand and then fuck it up was infuriating. But I thought he did some other nice things. I think he gives you a little bit more mobility on defense on the perimeter. He's also not nearly as good in the pick and roll. He's not nearly as aware of cutters. He's not as good of a player as Mitchell Robinson. But Mitchell Robinson should be playing 30 minutes a night. That's fine. Should the Knicks go after the young man from Cleveland, Kevin Porter Jr.? He was traded to Houston, so sorry. If you had to watch 48 minutes of Dennis Smith's DSG, I'm assuming you mean DSJ, and Elf play point guard, would you quit being a Knicks fan? Let me tell you something, folks. I had to. What's the worst? What's the worst it got? Watching Derrick Rose play pick and roll defense. That was the low point for me as a Knicks fan in almost 30 years. If I could survive a season of Derrick Rose playing pick and roll defense like a man who was not allowed to make contact, as if this were children's flag football, if I could survive that, I could survive 48 minutes of Alfred Payton and Dennis Smith Jr. That said, I don't want to see 48 minutes of Alfred Payton and Dennis Smith Jr. No, Shved is the go-to. Everybody points to Shved. The Twitter thing where it's like with the Lakers versus the Knicks starting lineup with Shved. Listen, Shved was just a bum. They actually sent Rose out there to attempt to play defense, and he just didn't care to do so, which is why that's my low point. Sweet Lou. Sweet Lou. Is Tibbs not letting Mitch shoot threes, or is Mitch lying in the offseason when he says he will shoot threes? I think Mitch is a 15-year-old boy who, in the body of a 23-year-old boy, who likes to say stupid shit on the internet. Okay, here's an interesting one from Carlos. Oladipo Beal, ... We need a third guy. Yes, we do. One of those guys will cost a lot more than the other, and I think they are absolutely going to be in play for him. Give it time, though. I don't think it's going to happen today or tomorrow. It took so long for someone to figure out the zone defense. Put somebody in the middle. Yeah, basically. I don't know if it was that they took a while to figure out or if that their execution was poor in trying to combat it. I'll go back and watch that one, watch the initial possessions against the zone, but I think that's a good point. They should one way or another, they should have figured out the zone more quickly. Mitch is also a troll. Mitch is a troll. Bargnani is the worst. These are all wonderful comments. Oladipo doesn't fit between a point guard and RJ. If they trade for Victor Oladipo, he will be the starting point guard. I'm just telling you that right now. And by the way, he's kind of doing that for Houston, or at least he was the last few games. The wall's been out. Yeah, he would be the first guy. Well, Randall probably still be the first guy, but see, this I disagree with. Does Tibbs have any offensive schemes? No one moves around, and it's all a two-man game, seemingly. I think it is a lot of two-man game, and I think Tibbs is trying to go to the one advantage he has. Tibbs has one thing that he has going for him right now, and that's Julius Randle. And he's trying to revolve everything about Julius Randle, and he's trying to allow Julius Randle to put the Knicks in situations where they get an open look. Or they play Julius one-on-one, and he just takes the guy. Or it's a kick out, not for a three, but it's like something else materializes because Julius Randle draws a double. I don't have a problem with going to that two-man game on most possessions. Like, guys running around is not going to, like, nothing happens if guys are just running around. You need someone to draw attention. And if you don't believe me, go look at any of the tape of our units that are just backups. Because Immanuel Quickley, for as wonderful as he is, a lot of the time when he's out there with Obi Toppin and Kevin Knox and Nerlens Noel and whatever shooting guard they have out there, like, there's a lot of guys moving around. Nothing's fucking happening because no one's drawing the attention of the defense. So, all due respect to whoever just asked that question, the Julius Randle and player X two-man game is the best thing this offense has going for it right now. It is the first domino. You need the first domino. And I think that is their best attempt at a first domino on most possessions. So that's my answer. I don't recall Tibbs running a double screen to get Barrett going downhill tonight. I agree. He's been doing that a lot, and it didn't happen a lot tonight. But, yeah, I'm not sure why that was the case. But it has been happening a lot. So, I think that's fine. I'm going to go take a couple more, and then, oh, Christ, it's 1 a.m. Okay, Macri, with our ability to find gems in the later rounds, more impressive than our top picks, Is the Mavs pick the most valuable asset? Is the Mavs pick the most valuable asset we have now? Oh God! At this rate, BJ Boston's going to be available when the Mavs pick comes up. So maybe it is. I like that. That's a good question. Couple more. Why aren't we playing more pick and roll, pick and pop like we did under Miller? It worked. Portis' threes and Mitch alley-oops. We should do this with Toppin and Noel. That's fair. I think Toppin's the guy you would do it with. I just don't know if like Obi Toppin shooting threes right now is what they're trying to generate out of this offense. But that's a fair point. I absolutely think that's something that they should introduce more. The only other thing I will say is I think they're trying to like master the offense that they have right now and get it really good before they're, going and expanding into other things. That's my guess. So, yeah. Is it just me, or is Immanuel Quickley with Randall a little awkward since Quick prefers to dribble a little and Randall likes to initiate? This is a good one to end on because it's one I was planning on doing a newsletter on soon, and I still might. But I think the two guys that I want to see play more together are Quickley and Randall. I completely agree with this comment that Quickley likes to have the ball in his hands and Randall likes to have the ball in his hands. But at the same time, we clearly see Quickley with the ability to catch and shoot effectively. And we have seen, maybe not so much this year, but we have seen in the past, specifically in New Orleans, Julius Randle be a very, very, very helpful guy on possessions where he does not have the ball in his hands if he is put in situations where he can just use his physical ability to like do what he does, which is take guys off the dribble or whatever. So I think those two guys can figure out how to play off each other. It's the two-man pairing that I'm most excited to see moving forward. I don't think they have played together enough. If you guys give me a second, I will look very quickly on Cleaning the Glass what Julius Randle and Immanuel Quickley have been together when they have played. But while I'm looking that up, I will take one more question. Let's see. Randle has no choice but to trust Quick. Yeah, no, I agree with that. The zone offense is terrible. They should run more high-lows with Randle and Mitch because it's like a 2-on-1 scenario. I think in general, I'd like to see them make more of an effort to get more lobs to Mitch, but I do also think that teams are game planning against that more and more because they know the Knicks would love to go to that on every possession. I also think Mitch has been a little bit not off. That's unfair. But a lot of these shots that he's taken around the rim that are getting blocked, like there was that wedgie earlier tonight where he got the ball stuck between the rim and the backboard. I feel like he was putting those down last year. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not saying he's any less effective, but okay. So with Immanuel Quickley and Julius Randle on the court together, this is obviously not counting tonight. The Knicks have scored. Jesus Christ. The Knicks are in 205 possessions, so not a huge sample size. But the Knicks are outscoring teams by 14.8 points per 100 possessions, which is the 96th percentile league-wide, according to Cleaning the Glass. They are scoring 118 points per 100 possessions with a 56.7 effective field goal percentage. They're getting to line at an absurd rate, 27.3 free throw rate, and they are only giving up 103.3 points per 100 possessions. Not to mention holding teams to 50% effective field goal percentage. The only thing that they do is they give up the ball a lot. So to answer the earlier question, yes, I would like to see more of Julius Randle and Immanuel Quickley together. Please, sir, may I have another? That's it. Okay, one last one. What can Obi do? The shot isn't falling. It doesn't seem coordinated enough to score on his own. I think Obi Toppin can play more than 8 NBA games. That's what I think Obi Toppin can do. And on that note, thank you, everybody. It's, again, past 1 in the morning. A lot of you, I'm sure, have work tomorrow. I have work tomorrow. Shit, that's going to suck. But such is life. And I appreciate you watching. And this was we're not good enough that moral victories don't count. I think moral victories count. This was a moral victory. We'll take it. Wasn't perfect, but few are. And we look forward to seeing if they can stay on the same court as Utah, the hottest team in the league, on Tuesday night. So I will see you all in about 48 hours. Adios.